50th anniversary celebration for VM. Welcome. Give it a round of applause. Thank you so much for being with us here in Binghamton. It's been an amazing event so far. Actually, I'm going to make you clap a couple more times. This time it's really important though. If you could please give a round of applause for every single person who's presented at this event, I'd be so grateful. So we've got an amazing program for you this evening, celebrating 50 incredible years of VM. And before I hand over to your instigator of ceremonies, I think he calls himself, my Giglio, I'm going to give a couple of minutes to someone else. So during the opening, we recognize amazing sponsors, and we've got some incredible sponsors, but there's one sponsor here in particular who's had a really amazing time these last few months, and I'm talking about 21st Century Software. So I'd just like to give a couple of minutes to 21st Century Software to talk a little bit about VSC.
So this has been fantastic, and I really think the support for VSC has been fantastic. And I did a presentation earlier today, and anyone who showed up knows we are committed. We are going to be back, we're going to support you, we're going to be sponsors, and we have a future. And I just want all of you to go back and let everyone know that this is not just about 21st in VSC, it's about all the partners and all the customers. We're going to work together, and we're going to provide the renaissance. So it was interesting today. I think it was Mike Higgins came up. Yeah, sorry if I got your name wrong. He said, you know, it's not pie, it's here, right? We're going to provide a launching point. So we're going to do all that IBM said in their pie theory, but we're going to be a renaissance. We're going to continue the growth, and we're going to go forward. So enjoy your night. Thank you so much for the time, and we look forward to being here next year. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much everyone for being here. For those of you who don't know, who may be here, can you raise your hand if you're just here for tonight, if you haven't been here for the rest of the workshop? Excellent. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for coming to this amazing celebration. It's great to see so many amazing legendary faces here at the VM Workshop 2022. For your information, you're probably wondering who I am. I'm the chair this year. It's been my absolute privilege to be working with some amazing people to get this workshop event put together. We went through some serious ups and downs, and it's been an incredibly successful event so far, so I'm really glad. But I'm going to stop talking. Thank you. Thank you so much. And hand over to your instigator of ceremonies, Mike Giglio.
All right. Let's get all the housekeeping out of the way. Yes, I know you can't see the screen unless the cloud decides we're worthy to see the screen. I know that. You don't have to tell us that. I have a couple of interesting little announcements here to make before we get started. There are door prizes at vendor booths. ProTech, Vicom, and Recovery Point all have the ability for you to go by, share your contact information, and they will draw a door prize on tomorrow. I encourage you to exploit that. Vicom Infinity had a door prize. The winner was Renee Marino. Renee here anymore? Good job. Congratulations. Somewhere at the base of the stairs, there should be a poster, okay? And Stephanie is inviting you to sign the poster. Put your name in the archives of VM forever. So do that before you leave. If you have not signed already. If you'll notice this here, this is the sew out of the t-shirts for this year. I'm the guy that somehow took on the job of designing the shirts. And every year before we put the shirts on the machine, they put a scrap of material on the machine. She sews the artwork, and then she emails it to me to make sure that it's actually the right artwork. Isn't that kind of clever the way they did? This is the sew out. 50 years, guys. I want to thank you all for coming. Welcome, the bears, the penguins, and the cats. I'll tell you a couple of tiny things about myself. I actually started off my full-time career as a rock and roll disc jockey many decades ago. Yeah, I know. And it all came to fruition. I was at a party, and this very, very pretty girl was there at the party. I said, I got to introduce myself to her. So I introduced myself to this very pretty girl. She said, what do you do? I said, I'm a rock and roll disc jockey. She said, that's great, Mike. You have a face for radio. That pretty girl and I have been married for 38 years now. So I guess it worked out. I actually work on both VM and MVS. Now, I haven't touched MVS in a long, long time. People say, Mike, what are you doing working on the dark side over there on ZOS and working on VM? On VM, I said, well, either I have commitment issues or I go both ways. Now VM to stay. And finally, when did I get started in this business? From a historical perspective, that's back when gas was less than $1 a gallon. Star Wars movies were actually worth seeing, and thongs is something we wore on our feet. Before we get started about the past 50 years, let's talk about the past 30 months, okay? I hired a couple of new employees. You can see the ginger on the left and the evil pearl cat on the right. New employees, I think she was 2020, she was 2021. I'm gonna have to call HR because I caught them sleeping together. I did learn 3 very interesting things over the period of time in this illness. Number 1, I was at the credit union. I guess this was early on in 2020, and I had to sneeze. I thought, okay, I'll sneeze into my cuff, and I did. At that point, the whole credit union went silent. I would have received less attention if I pulled out a Glock and fired twice into the ceiling. So now we know if you're going to sneeze, you got to pop a couple of caps first for a diversion. Second thing I learned is people were wearing masks, and it was more and more difficult for me to understand what they were saying. It turned out I was reading lips. Well, after a few expensive visits to the audiology clinic, I found out I was below the line. Not a line you want to be below. Apparently, it's a little better now. And finally, I did actually get ill back in the fall of last year. I had every symptom except one. I had the nose, and the headache, and I actually drank pickle juice to prove people I couldn't taste. And I hate pickles. Anyway, the only symptom I did not have was dead. But just in case that happened, I put that layout on the floor so the constable would know where to find me when they came over to pick me up. Let's play a little game here, okay? Let me get your attention. I'll make this worth your trouble, okay? First game. Everybody here who is a grandparent, raise your hand. Now, keep your hand up if you're a great-grandparent. We have 0 great-grandparents, is that right? No, we've got at least one somewhere. Our grandparents, put your hands back up. Greater than 1 grandkid, keep your hand up. Greater than 2, keep your hand up. Greater than 3? Greater than 4?
Is your arm tired?
Greater than 5? I don't know how long we're going to be here. Greater than 6? Come on up. Come on, you can get it. Oh, 6? Huh? 7. Are you greater than 7? 10. Come on. And what is your name? Gary. Where are you from, Gary? You're a back and forth type of guy. Snowbird. Makes sense. You have any final thoughts for the crowd here? We're going to give you this as a token of your 10 grandkids. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Let's go the other way. Raise your hand if you graduated from high school after 1990. Keep your hand up if you graduated after 1995. Keep your hand up if you graduated after 2000. Well, see, these guys have the energy to keep their hands up a long time, too. We don't. After 2005.
Steph's the winner. Yeah, there's still a handful.
After 2010. We're getting there. After 2015, graduation from high school. Come on down, guys. It's like 4 of y'all, 5 of y'all. Come on down. We're going to figure out who's the most recent. Okay, so we're all after. We're after 2015. Anybody after 2016? Are we after 2016? After what year? 17, 16. So you get to go away. 17. Anybody else after 17? Okay, we got 2 of them. I only get 1 prize. What month? Really?
Oh, that's great.
All right. Let's see who's alphabetically first. What is your name? And your name? Ling. Well, Dan wins, but Ling, you can share. So let me find that. Well, here you go. Take it to Red House. Thank you. Thank you, Ling. Appreciate it. Thank you. So you see what I did there? What a contrast we have here. People with 10 grandkids and people that in the last half a decade finished high school. That's what it's all about tonight, folks. Learning from the past, respecting the past, but looking for the future. Now I have a word for you this evening from our boss. How did this work out? I want to say about, I don't know how many years ago Cher was in Phoenix. Remember that? I was at Cher in Phoenix, and this lady had just given a couple of presentations, and things didn't go work out. Her demo was screwed up. She was a little bit nervous, but she still nailed the presentations. So I walked up to her after she was done. I said, "Ma'am, you are a rock star." She looked at me and told me I was full of crap. Fortunately, I was right. Here is our boss this evening, Steph Rivero.
Test. All right. Hi, everyone. So yes, I'm Stephanie Rivero. I am the current product manager for ZBM. And it's really amazing to see all of you here today. It really is. This is my first conference since the thing that happened. So I'm so glad you guys are all here. I wanted to take some time to thank some of the people who helped make this evening possible. And I had to write it all down because there's quite a few, but I'm going to try to be quick. So first of all, the biggest thank you I have to give is to VM Workshop, who partnered with IBM to go halvesies basically on this whole event, meaning just this evening. But you know, it's been really amazing working with them. They allowed us to piggyback off of their conference so that we could have as many people as possible be able to celebrate with us. I also want to thank Terry Burke and Kim Ketchum doing audio-visual stuff right over there. Without them, you would not be able to hear me. I'm not good at projecting. I also want to thank Ryan and the whole BU facilities team for setting up all the tables and getting it all done and flipping it in a really short time frame. Thank you. Joe and the Sodexo team are the ones that provided all of the delicious food that you've been enjoying. They've done an amazing job. They were really great to work with, so please thank them as well. And now I have a couple shout outs to specific people. Andrea, who was our BU liaison, and she really helped us out. Oh, I see her over there. Thank you. We have Len D and Len S. So Len D, he really helped me out with catering and also just being a rock and giving me a lot of faith and just good words of encouragement throughout the whole process. So thank you, Len D. And Len S, the other Len, according to Len D. He's also been amazing throughout this whole thing, and we can all thank for the beautiful tent that's out there that allows us all to enjoy the outdoors on this beautiful evening. We also have Bill Bittner, who's a legend. I'm sure a lot of people love him. Promoting this event and all through the listservs and all the social media, so he did a great job there. And he also was the curator of all of the photos for the photo montage that was playing earlier. We also have Jacob Ganya, who is, some of you might have known that Bill has retired recently, and we will all miss him at IBM. He's very happy about it. Jacob Ganya is the new client specialist person replacing Bill now, and he provided the majority of the guard games that are out there, so check those out later. Kate is sitting in the back. She is doing all the registration table stuff, and she's great at taking meeting minutes among many other talents. She's just been indispensable. She really has. We have Bill Munson somewhere who kept us on budget. I see. Oh no, we went home. I forgot. Okay, well still, let's keep it in our thoughts. On budget, so it's all good. We have Rick Barlow, who is our Knights of VM liaison, you could call him, so I really, everyone appreciates. And finally, well, almost finally, we have Mike right here, doing an amazing job keeping it from me being awkward and all the rest. That was a big undertaking. It really was. I was like, hey guys, we have like 100-something balloons. So that was Bill Bittner, Gerard, who was up here earlier, and Chip is floating around somewhere, I think. Yes, he has a great lung capacity. Thank you. So I just want to finish off by saying, I joined IBM in 2016, only 6 years ago. I did a quick calculation. It's easy math, thankfully, because VM has been around for 50 years, so just multiply by 2. I've been around for 12% of the time that VM has been around. But, I knew I was getting a job when I got hired at IBM, but I didn't expect the greatest part of this, which was the huge, amazing community that all of you guys are. So thank you all for being here. I hope you have a great night, and thank you for having me up here.
Is the Riviera. We know your name is Rivero, so we're going to ask you 3 questions about the Riviera. Saturday. And you'll be playing for Kim Cooper from Stowe, Ohio. Is Kim here? Where's Kim?
Kim, step up. I see
Kim's
you.
not here, we'll go to somebody else. Is Kim here? That'll work all right. Debbie Finch. Debbie here? There she is.
Aha, Debbie.
All right, Debbie.
All right, I'm
So-
gonna try my best for you, Debbie.
So,
I'm really
if
bad at
she-
geography.
If she needs help, you can ask her, or you can ask anybody for help, okay? It's really pretty simple. Okay, question number 1. You can take a train to Riviera Beach, Florida from which of these cities? Fort Worth, Fort Lauderdale, or Fort Knox?
Oh, it's a tough. Okay. Very tricky. I'm gonna go with B, Fort Lauderdale.
That would be correct.
Go, Debbie.
Bright Line Rail runs every 4 hours. Tickets are limited to $35 and it takes about 40 minutes. Question number 2, Stephanie. What is the slogan as you drive into Riviera Beach? Is it A, be careful of the jellyfish, B, best waterfront city, or C, hope you have an okay time?
That's a tough one, Mike, but I'm gonna guess B.
That would be correct. You will take the eastern boundary. Riviera Beach is actually the most eastern municipality in all of Florida. Of course, the metro area of Miami. And question number 3, Stephanie. Just outside Riviera Beach is the Garden Mall, which contains A, an indoor waterfall and kayak course, B, the largest player piano in the world, or C, one of the last remaining nearly dead Sears stores.
Really could be any of those. Does anyone want to help? Debbie, what do you think?
They would have with A. Do they have the contact there?
I don't know if that's an option, all of the above. We're feeling A? Clap for A. Okay. Pause. For B. C. C? Okay, go with C.
You can find appliances, tools, and lots of sadness at the Garden Mall too.
Who would have thought?
Let me present her prize. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Another housekeeping issue while we're here. If you look over at the bar, you're going to see a tumbler. IBM celebrates 50 years of being on the mainframe. You're going to have a toast in a little while at the end of the evening. And this is your toast vessel. It actually is somewhat non-destructible, so you can take it home with you. First person this evening, all the way from a very different continent this evening, that would be Erich Amrehn. Where's Eric? There he is. Come on up, sir. You can set your glass down and we'll drink it. All right. So Eric, where are you from?
Germany, all the way from Germany.
And you brought everybody else from Germany with you? Is that?
Yeah, some of the people.
Okay. So what is your background? When did you start in the game?
When did I start in the game? Probably, no. I'm not as old as I look, so. That's probably much later. I would say the mid-80s, early 80s.
Okay.
And I really got involved when we did in Germany the first masterclass. All knows what I'm talking about. So we had in Munich a VM masterclass with a Pam was coming on from Christina, and she was arrived in Munich, walking to the park in Munich, and a lot of you people know or don't know that in Germany, being naked is not a problem because people go naked in the park, and Pam was completely shocked. Yeah, this was one of the first impressions I had with Pam.
In the years at IBM, did you develop any relationships with any mentors, people that helped you get started?
Yes, Mark was one of my first mentors. And then I got to all the professional stuff, and then I had several other mentors within IBM, all the way up to becoming a distinguished engineer at one time. So that was the end of the career.
Were you able to return the favor and be a mentor for some other people?
Yeah, I had probably 25, 30 people mentoring, and out of my people I mentored, some were actually the East, and out of the East mentoring people, 3 became IBM fellows this year. So that's
finally, you saw all these folks here that recently, been out of high school in less than a decade. What advice would you give to them?
my biggest advice is do what you love and do it right and be yourself. Anybody else is taken, so it's just up to you. Be yourself and do what you love. That's the best thing you can do.
Next, I believe he was at Bill Hitt's session as well, Gabe Goldberg. Gabe, come down for a few moments. There he is. He looks like he brought his own notes. I think I've been outmatched here. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Step forward here. So, where do you live now?
Falls Church, Virginia, right outside Washington, D.C.
And what do you do?
I do just enough work to be able to deny being retired. And I do a lot of volunteer work. I volunteer with a couple of local technology groups, volunteer with the police department. I've served on a couple of county task forces, one of which was interesting, developing drone policy for public safety use, police and fire.
Drone. Now, when did we ever think in our youth that there would be something called a drone, and that the drone would need a policy? That's pretty clever. When did you start IBM?
Joined IBM in 1968, left in 71.
And what was your attachment to the young there? What was your
As I said at the panel discussion, the community, I was lucky enough to get in on the beginning, at least one of the M370, and it was clear that a community was forming, and 50 years later it's clear what the community accomplished.
And you mentioned the community. Have you seen the community evolve over the years at the community?
In the first decade or two, there was a blossoming of local VM user groups around the country. In DC, New York, New England, Chicago, California, New Orleans. From 1985 on, I was lucky enough to work for a vendor, and so I got to visit all of the local VM groups. And probably from 85 to 95, or a little bit later than that, was just a golden era for local VM user groups. And there was Share. Again, I was lucky enough to get involved with Share. In 1971, one of my colleagues, Miner, suggested, hey, you should come to Share. And that led to a great many lifelong friends inside IBM and the VM community. And so Share was just a tremendous part of my career, too.
And you came from the whole workshop, didn't you?
I did.
Cool. So I'm going to ask you the same question I asked here. You saw the graduates here, the recent graduates. What is your thoughts of the advice? If they asked us, what would you tell them?
To learn from the people around you, learn from your predecessors, and look for problems that haven't been thought of, and solve problems that nobody else is thinking of. Because certainly working for a vendor, that was a lot of fun. We could look at VM the way it was and think about how it should be. but you don't have to work for a vendor to do that. Everybody running VM has a great toolkit to develop local solutions that can turn into things used industry-wide. So learn from what's around you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's try another giveaway here. Let's see who is beyond the list here. Is Matthew Mondix here? Matthew? Matthew's not here? Well, he's not going to play then. Solve that problem. Mark Shora? Mark here? You guys are just tearing up my random number generator, aren't you? Mark? Is there a Mark here? You already left. I got a few. Perry Reuter? Woohoo! Come on! Come on up there. Thank you so much. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Just move closer so we can hear you. And it says here you're from British Columbia. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Well, that is
Born and raised.
That is cool. Okay, I'm going to ask you 3 questions about 1972. Win any 2 of those. Your category is television. Okay?
We only have one channel where I do.
Listen, you may need some help. Okay? All these people help with any help for the answers. What TV detective show was on television in 1972? Hawaii Five-O, Columbo, or Hee-Haw? Hawaii Five-O. It turns out that McGarrett and Columbo always got their man or woman. Okay. Question number 2. What 1972 show was Archie Bunker on? All in the Family, MASH, or Kung Fu?
All in the Family.
There you go. With the first toilet flush on television. And finally, question number 3. What show moved to California in 1972? The Lucy Show, The Beverly Hillbillies, or The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson?
I'm going to say The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson.
That would be correct. You have won our prize today. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Next, I would call the Honorable Rick Barlow to talk to us this evening about the Knights of VM. Let's hear it for Rick.
So there's no real way to follow Mike, and my remarks are not nearly as funny as his. So if you're not familiar with it, the Order of the Knights of VM is a program that was started or not a program, but whatever. It was started in China. And because we were here at the VM workshop in beautiful Binghamton, right down the street from Endicott, where the current home of VM Development is, we decided this year that we would bend the rules just slightly and we would announce some of the honorees here at the workshop this year. So as the program manager for the Linux and VM program, it falls to me to work through the nomination process and the voting process, and then announce the honorees this year. So with that being said, you can see on the chart already, once upon a time, before there was an internet, and before Googling was the way to solve problems, before you could hold a computer in your hands, or your lap, before source code was open, when the only mice we knew had 4 legs and a tail, and squeaked, came intrepid sysfrogs who led the way to a bold new concept, virtualization. Let me say before I continue, I didn't write any of this. But it has been my responsibility to share this over the last actually the last 10 years. This is the third time I've been through this process. So I won't read all this to you. The brave warriors for a noble cause, armed with nothing more than a keyboard, they solved some of the most amazing problems through the years. To keep it alive, a highly efficient but beautifully simple form of virtualization came to be VM. And for those of you who are young enough to not remember before there was VMware, there wasn't always a VMware. So the Order of Knights was born. In 1978, the Order of Knights of VM was formed. It recognizes people who have contributed to the advancement of VM or to the community that has supported VM. Every 5 years, on the anniversary of the announcement of VM 370, we go through the process of nominating new people and voting them in, I should say. We don't vote anybody out. In 2007,
So far.
some people are working on that. Anyway, in 2007, contributors to Z-Linux, not really, we're not allowed to say that anymore. Linux and IBM Z systems were included. As most of you know, the advent of Linux and the ability to run Linux on mainframes really revitalized CVM in that time frame. Obviously, it's been around longer than that. It started in 1999. You know, officially, most of us have been playing with it since around the neighborhood of 2000. One button at a time. When CP was first imagined, it was groundbreaking. Nothing like it had ever been done before. And if you attended either of the sessions, either this morning with Jim Elliott or the distinguished panel that Bill Bittner had just in this last hour, you will know that a lot of people have made incredible contributions over the years. The ground down of VM, Melinda Varian wrote this paper. Jim Elliott mentioned it, I believe. It's the VM community, past, present, and future. If you've never read it and you're working with VM today, you really ought to read it. It just gives an incredible amount of history and talks about a lot of the people who were pioneers in getting VM off the ground. The founding knights, this is the list of the first class in 1978. Most of them I don't even know. You will probably recognize the last name on the list, or the second last name on the list. Our friend Romney White, who is with us today. He was a little bit younger in this picture. So there are some great names in this list. People, Lynn Wheeler that wrote the scheduler, he's one of the few I am at least acquainted with. I won't read all the names to you. In fact, in the presentation, which I will upload after today, you can read the list of all of the knights through the years. Starting in '82, all the new knights were assigned a title that hopefully reflected something either about the job they did, the reason they were included in the order, or something about their personality that is unique to them. So nominations are made by the current members. So when we go start the process, I send out an email to everybody. I can figure out how to contact. We actually have a LinkedIn group, although a lot of the knights are not active there. So it gets a little difficult to make contact. I think I have some 50 email addresses currently. But anyway, and then the final selections are made. We have a committee that sits back and we kind of look at the nominations. We decide, is this the right time for this person? We kind of look at a number of factors to see what we all think, and then we put it to a vote to the entire Knight community. So, these are our honorees for 2022. And I will ask, I have a few words to say about each one of them. These people I think are all here tonight. They were at the workshop, so I'm hoping they're here. So the first nominee for 2022 that was selected is Kurt Acker. Kurt has level 2.
Hey, Cheyenne.
I'm sorry?
I was talking to Cheyenne.
Oh, sorry. And he spent a lot of time at Marriott, and has this great story to tell about his Mongo implementation there. Well, not his personally, but their implementation. Now working for Sina Nomine, he continues to have a contribution to the community. And I understand from his friends, or maybe they're not his friends, that outside of his IT involvement, he has a great love for fishing. So his title for this nomination is The Angler of New Technology. Our next nominee has a contribution that goes probably as far back as anybody I've ever had an association with. Gary Broddock was instrumental in the testing of Rex when he was added to VMSP3. And so he had a large part in that process. And he also worked with a number of other CMS enhancements up through VMSP Release 5. And so we have Sir Gary, the steward of Rex. The next nominee is probably not a stranger to anyone in this room, Samuel D. Cohen from LRS. Sam is another one of those people who has had a variety of jobs through his career. Spent quite a bit of time in IBM, working with VSE and VM. He began working with Linux back there around 2000 with many of us with the Maris distribution. Now, in his current roles, he does a lot of presentations. You might have heard him a couple of times this week already. And for those of us who attend SHARE, you know that he was frequently accompanied by a canine in training as a assist dog. So his title we gave him is Samuel, the guide dog of VMS. The next nominee is perhaps a stranger to many of us because he isn't often with us. Victor Cross is a beacon of support for the VM community in Asia Pacific. So according to the people who provided this information to me, he's co-authored no less than 5 Red Books and on Linux and IBM Z or ZVM. He's spoken in many IBM and customer events and provided demos and hands-on labs. And all of his presentations are based typically on real-world experience. So we have Sir Victor of the Insightful World. Our next nominee is fortunately here with us, I believe, because he doesn't live too far from here. William Dovin. Bill. Many of us know Bill from working with him at CP Level 2. In fact, we were having a conversation about one of my current PMRs or cases open right now. He specializes in analyzing ZVM performance in support cases and critical situations. He is efficient in processing data and provides insightful insight to the situation. His assistance has always been valuable to the customers and helpful in identifying VM defects. So one of his specialties outside of IT apparently is playing the horn. So he is Sir William the Bugler of Level 2. we have another name that many of you will probably know if you've had to work with any problem situations, is Glenda Ford. Glenda holds together a lot of aspects of the For the past decade or so, she's led the packaging install and service team, another one of my favorite people at IBM. She's helped hundreds of customers with order and fulfillment questions, as well as many behind-the-scenes feats of might in navigating IBM corporate processes. So it's Dame Glenda the Good. So as a quick break here between this group and the next, I want to say one of the fun things about doing this as the LVM program manager is getting to know more about some of these people besides just what you learn from the brief acquaintance you might have through the support center.
Well, you have a second. I'm recommending a change. Given the age of this, it should now be called the ancient order.
Well, just because some of us are ancient.
Phil, sit down.
All right. Yeah, peanut gallery, sit down. Anyway, the next honoree is Jacob Gagne. Let me first say, Jacob, not unlike Stephanie, is pretty new to this puzzle, but Jacob kind of jumped in with both feet. He's, I guess, a glutton for punishment. Many of us have done that through the years. Some of you will know him for his presentations at Share MDMUA and or his Linux Council roles. And of course, he's done some great things in CP development, working on the recent expansion of the SSI, that's the word, and 6480, logical processor support, those kinds of things, CP function and variables, those kinds of things. His title, Sir Jacob the Harmonizer, it's actually a double meaning. As we said earlier, Jacob is taking over some of the role that Bill Bittner had, and that is the customer interface role, which comes along with it the responsibility to try and help people to work together, so in harmony. But he also is a musician, composer as well, right? Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes. So, Jacob the Harmonizer. The next person is no stranger to any of us. We'll have Wilhelm is one of the quietest and soft-spoken people I've ever met.
You got the what?
Wilhelm is an exceptional, enthusiastic presenter and a somewhat master of Linux and VM, and more recently is the most prolific speaker on containers and how they fit in with VM and Linux, all of the ways that you can run containers. So his early history includes VSE as well, so fits in right well here today at the VM workshop. And we have Sir Wilhelm, the elucidator of complex containers. Our next honoree, Anthony Delanodo. Most of you will know him as Tony. Tony's had a long career. He started off a long time ago doing some security stuff in ACF2. I know him best for his work at Velocity, and many of you, especially those who have our products, will know him because of the web server, which is, among the top web servers in the world, very fast, runs on ZVM, lets us do all kinds of things as a company with our products, but prior to that, as a customer, writing our own web applications. So a large part of his community and a large part of the VM community and their player, you can do it. A lot of us depend on the web server for our daily jobs. Tony has a great personality. He's upbeat. He's friendly most of the time, unless you take him off. He has a great ability to work with customers and talk about the strengths of the VM platform and the robust Linux as a robust Linux hosting platform. We have Sir Tony, the Master of Security and Internet. Our next nominee is, or our honoree, I should say, is Michael J. Riggs Sr.
Oh, baby.
So Michael is the magistrate of tenants. Most of you know Mike works for the court system of Virginia, or has, still does, until he retires. That's what I was trying to say. He also has, he's worked with VSE guests, and of course Linux guests. He's been involved in various user groups, and those of you who have been around the workshop very long know that he took 2 tours as the chair of the VM workshop. What's that? Oh, I thought somebody got it. And he's been a part of the committee now for the last 5 years. So we have Sir Michael, the Magistrate of Tenants. And our last honoree for today is Carrie Wilson. Carrie Wilson is a landlord of us who is relatively new to the VM community. However, those of you who know him know that he's already wearing multiple hats. He reacts a lot, or interacts a lot with customers, and he reacts to customers. I guess that's a Freudian slip. A lot of you who are involved in the council will know that he works with all the sponsor user programs. He does a lot of the testing and stuff for the new functions that come out. He coordinates that. He's also the current webmaster for the IBM VM web page, and did a lot of work with, if you ever use the library there, you'll recognize that he was integral in helping that improve. He's been the post-production team for more recent VM education videos. So if you go to the YouTube channel and watch the VM education videos, Carrie's a big part of making those happen. So we have Sir Carrie, the Chancellor of the Council. So, this is a part of the list for 2022. The rest of them will announce and share. Some I'm sure won't be at either event, but we wanted to have a chance to be together tonight because there were so many of us here who are not always in attendance. The 50th celebration was a great opportunity to be together. So, with that, I'd like to say thanks to all who made the VM and the VM community so special for 50 years. You've heard multiple times how important the community is. And, having a number of people here who don't often get to come to events, it's a great opportunity to meet those people that you talk to on the telephone, but you've never seen before. I hope we get a chance to celebrate again in 2022. You'll see the pretty VM there. If you didn't get one of those pins, I have a bunch of them, so see me before you leave. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Good call, guys. All right, I'm going to go totally off script. Jim Mullins, come up here. Jim, come here. Come on. script here, guys. Big hand for Jim. Come on, Jim. He knows what I'm going to do. All right, guys, I was sitting across him from breakfast this morning, right at that table over there. And I thought, wow, what famous person does he remind us of?
Hey, don't be a buddy.
That's right, Tom Wilson or Biff from Back to the Future. So before you leave this weekend, get your picture taken with him, and get him to call you a butthead, maybe even on your phone. Thank you. Our next 1972 game, let's see who we're playing with. Caitlin Mooney, from Bordeaux, New Jersey. Is Caitlin here?
No.
Really? Oh, by the way, if you're wondering how these ended up, I simply took a list of everybody that's registered, put a random number in one of the columns in Excel, and then sorted by that random number. So that's how I did it with the cards. I also removed anybody who's on the committee like me and Mike Riggs and nobody else. So you lose. All right. Let's see, we got here Colleen Brown. Come on, Colleen, thank you. And Colleen, it says here you're from Binghamton, New York. Is that correct?
Yes, I am.
All right. Now, are you a sports person?
Some sports.
Okay, we're going to talk about sports of 1972. Feel free to reach out for a lifeline if you need, okay? Win 2 out of 3 questions and you won our prize today. Question number 1. What NFL team was undefeated in 1972? Miami Dolphins, see? Dolphins became the first undefeated team, 14-0. There you go. Question number 2. Where did the Dallas Cowboys win the Super Bowl in 1972? And you want to narrow out 2 of these and pick the one. That's correct. Cowboys beat the Dolphins 24-3 in Tulane Stadium. Finally, question number 3. What tennis icon won the women's French title in 1972? Okay, there's a couple of hints here. Okay, so that means number 1, they have to be born before 1970, and number 2, they have to be female. There you go. Of Australia. So here we go. Buffalo Wild Wings. Thank you very much. Congratulations. A couple of more conversations we'll have here this evening. All right, the next person, I actually have their title here. So I can read their title and then introduce them. The IBM Distinguished Engineer, Chief Architect and CTO of IBM Z and Linux One Virtualization, Ingo Adlung. Where's Ingo? Ingo, you have to be an extrovert for a few minutes, okay? Don't, it's okay, I don't want you to be out of breath to get here. Well, thank you. Tell us, where do you live? Well, more specific? Okay. And when did you start working with VM?
Actually, very early, back in '83.
Okay. What was your role in '83?
In '83, I was after I finished an apprenticeship with IBM, and I was doing tools development. So software tools, and those were all CDM based, so I did tons of Rex programming back then.
Okay. What kind of tools? Are they tools recognized today?
No, those were for the hardware development. So,
okay.
So they are tools, they're software tools, and a couple of years later, during college time when I was doing an internship, I was writing a OS2 file system that would store data on GVM so that the further development, Poughkeepsie and Descartes and Birmingham could exchange all of their data. But the data was hosted on GVM, so it was hosted on GVM minidisks, but it was accessible as a file system for their OS2 workstations.
Did you have any mentors that really meant a lot to you over the years?
I had mentors, but not specifically with the GVM.
Okay, just with IBM in general? Or?
With IBM in general. So Karl Schlossermeier, who was the godfather of CMOS.
And what about the next generation? What guidance would you have for them to be successful?
Pick a problem and be passionate about it. So it always works, it's universal, it's not time dependent. Sometimes I would tell them, well, bend your back and just pick one. And there are so many opportunities, pick one, make it yours, be passionate, and works for everyone.
Anything else?
Everyone needs to be able to continuously reinvent themselves. So when I started, I was starting as an electrical engineer, then I ended up in software, but I became passionate about software. I started in DSC, had been working on CDM, had coded Linux, and these days trying to enable the platform for cloud, doing cloud enablement for the platform. So it's always about reinventing yourself.
And my final question, did you bring in more of that yummy chocolate from here?
No.
You can think about it, bring somebody next time. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Our next conversation, let me start from the bottom here. The current program director of CVM and related products development and service, George Madl. What was your question?
Did you save the best for last? We're done after this, right?
I think it was in alphabetical order backwards. Okay. So George, when did you start working with VM?
So I started working with VM in 1983. Okay. But first what I want to do is interrupt you a little bit because for this crowd, I want them to understand a little more precisely what my full name is. So my full name is George Victor Mark Madl. And so, yes, my middle initials are VM. And so, I was knighted Sir George the Predestined or Predetermined one. I don't remember exactly which one, but I'm Sir George the Predetermined one as George VM Madl.
So, over the years, did working with mentors make a big difference for you?
Mentors made a difference. There were some managers that I really looked up to. The best advice was be more of a coach than more of a manager. Be someone that's supportive or someone dictatorial. And know when to go home. You know, don't stay that long. You can stay at the office forever. Just pick up and leave at the end of the day. It'll be there tomorrow.
And how long have you been in your current role?
So, 2000, that was the beginning. I'm going to go off on a quick little tangent. I vividly remember the very first share session I got to present as the new product owner. And I remember making a very crude chart of a roller coaster ride. And because of ZVM's history, lots of ups and downs, I had this last part of the roller coaster going way up. And I had a little X drawn at sort of the base of that hill. Because I knew full well that this was the start of something special. So I was 100% convinced that there was a lot of good times ahead for ZVM, and absolutely true. And I know we're heading toward a toast, So I want to offer that even now, if I had to redraw that roller coaster, I may not draw a hill that's so steeply inclined in terms of growth and good times and more customers and more workloads, but it sure as heck is not the part of a roller coaster where it's heading down. CBM is going to be here for another 50 years. It is that important to the IBM Corporation, so it's not going to change. The roller coaster is still going on. Still going on.
If you could be something different, what would you be when you grow up?
Oh, I'd be a baseball player. I was a baseball player in high school. After high school, I had a chance to sign as a minor league baseball player, and I thought, nope, I got to play against some teams where they had actually drafted players. I remember one team had a pitcher drafted in the second round by the Yankees. I think I struck out twice against him and flew out to right field, swinging very late on a pitch, and I thought IBM is probably a better choice than trying to make it in minor league baseball.
And finally, I guess you had a lot of interactions with the new generation here. What are your thoughts? What's in it for them?
So my advice to the new people coming on board is to get outside the lab, engage the outside world as much as possible. Engage our customers and our business partners and our competitors, understand our competitors. Just engage the outside world. That's the best advice I can give.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I believe it's time for our last giveaway. Mike Stevenson from Mercer Island, Washington. Is Mike here?
No.
Uh-oh. Somebody's name I actually recognize. Okay, I'll call him. Daniel Martin from Bentonville, Arkansas. We'll wait. Not like we have a choice.
The bar is low, but we can race to the bottom. There's up there.
All right. We're going to ask you a few questions about 1972 current events. Okay? First question for 1972. Where did the Apollo 17 mission explore? Was it the moon, Philadelphia, or Disneyland?
I'm gonna hazard a guess and go with A.
That would be the moon, yes. The final man on the mission. And question number 2. BART. It's Bay Area Rapid Transit, okay? So there's got to be a bay involved, okay? So make that easy. BART began service between what two locations in 1972? Was it Tampa? There's a bay in Tampa. So was it Tampa Bay and St. Petersburg? Was it B, Green Bay and Milwaukee? Or C, was it Oakland and Fremont?
Left coast, gotta be C.
There you go, Oakland and Fremont. Later the year, BART began service in San Francisco. 2 for 2, looking good. All right, question number 3. Plumbers first broke into the Democratic National Headquarters at the Gaylord National Harbor, Bristol City Hall, or the Watergate Complex.
Gotta be C. And I was mortally offended because it disrupted Saturday morning cartoons.
The cover-up proved to be much more damaging than the break-in. Congratulations, Dan. Thanks for Wednesday. Before I move on to the next segment, I get to say thank you to a couple of people that have really helped me out over the years. I call them the 3 B's. First B would be Bill Bittner. Bill has been a great resource for me. And Bill is not immune to telling me, Mike, you're full of crap. I hear those words out of his mouth, about 60% of the time I ask him a question. Number 2 would be Brian Jagos. Brian? Brian has been there for me when it comes to me opening my mouth and realize I put my foot in it, so he helps me put my foot out of my mouth. Occasionally he even says, Mike, don't do that, you're going to put your foot in your mouth. And finally, the third B would be Barton Robbins' part of it. Barton has convinced me I might be a little bit smarter than I think I am. I'm not sure he's right, but at least appreciate his confidence. All right, now it is time for the boss to come back up. Do we have any more business to take care of first?
I would like to share with everyone a limerick. Sorry. That was a collaborative effort, but I'm going to deliver it.
You ready?
Yes. So, a toast. VM, you have been our companion for 50 years, bringing us countless dumps, traces, and lots of tears. What we eventually learned was simple and clear. Read the book, follow the directions, year after year. Then we found out that we were never alone. Help from friends was as close as the bone. Almost done, don't worry. In the culture of VM, we always find time for endless war stories over a glass of wine. For 5 decades, VM has enriched our lives, often at the disdain of our families, husbands, and wives. And finally, a toast with all our VM friends. Here's to 5 more decades where our fondness for each other will never end.